It's a rainy day here at the Dogeared Page, and me and Toby are getting together to talk movies. It's the Film by Film, a podcast about the odd film or two we've seen. This episode, we're talking about The Map of Tiny Perfect Things, a 2021 movie starring Catherine Newton and Kyle Allen. It's going to be pretty spoiler heavy, but if that's okay with you, continue on, and I'll see you on the other side.
Do I care about any of these people?
And that just happened too quick.
Yeah, so I just plodded through it, got to the end. It was like, yeah.
Fair enough.
All right. Right.
But a film that I think you did particularly like, and what we're here to talk about today was, am I right? The Map of Tiny Perfect Things?
The Map of Tiny Perfect Things, yes.
This is a 2021 film directed by Ian Samuels, starring... to me, they seem like newcomers. I've never heard of the two leads.
I've lost my Wikipedia page. I had it up a minute ago. Yeah, no, I've never heard or seen of them before, and I don't know if I would recognise them if I saw them again in another film.
It's starring Catherine Newton and Kyle Allen. Mm-hmm. He did seem like a young Joseph Gordon-Levitt. I think it's just because of his face, to be honest.
Almost like a Gordon-Levitt crossed with a Mark Wahlberg.
There's this sort of a recent string of young up-and-coming actors who are doing pretty good. Miles Teller, the guy from Ready Player One, Ty Sheridan, is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the woman as well in Ready Player One, she's quite a...
Just the next generation of young actors are starting to sort of show their faces, and we'll have to see how they turn out.
Interesting to see how many of them stick this time. We get waves of new actors that... I don't know whether that's doing her a disservice. What's Dakota Fanning?
Yeah, I guess she got, I don't know about a lucky break, but she came in super strong, super young, right? War of the Worlds.
But yeah, anyway, Map of Tiny Perfect Things.
I've never really heard of this. I think I saw, it came on Amazon Prime here, and I think I saw just a little thumbnail. The title, I'm not going to lie, the title put me off.
Did it? That's interesting.
It just looked like it was going to be teen high school romance drama. Yeah. And
so that's your cup of tea then?
No, actually it is. We can get into this later, because I feel like I'm not going to spoil my opinions. I didn't particularly like this film. And I feel like an easy argument would be, well, you weren't the target audience. But actually, in the last year and a half, we've sort of watched a string of basically tea to all the boys I've loved.
Yeah.
I think there's 3 of them now, and we've watched all 3.
A couple of them.
Mindy Kaling had a sitcom show out, which we watched and I liked. Never Have I Ever. Moxie just came on. 30 Reasons Why. So actually, no, I'm not the target audience. You might be right, but I can watch, and I do enjoy a fair amount of them.
Yes, I'm the same. Very much enjoy not teen stuff. So I grew up on Buffy, obviously, and things like that. And then, 13 Reasons Why. I've seen the first season of that, and I absolutely thoroughly enjoyed that. Netflix are the ones that are kind of mostly pushing the teen drama. So you've got like the Originals and Riverdale and other.
I mean, I like. It's strange that Riverdale doesn't remotely appeal to me, but some of the other stuff I mentioned has, and I don't really know why. I can't really. I guess I haven't really watched Riverdale, but I did, as a kid, read the Archie comics, and just going off the trailers,
I don't know Riverdale. All I know is I've seen the thumbnail, and its glossiness, and it's pretty people glossy all over it, and you think, you could be all right, but it's probably going to be a bit rubbish. I might watch it at some point. I probably won't. And then that's where it sits on my list of things maybe one day.
So it was basically an American kids comic.
Was it?
But sorry, we're getting off topic, because I haven't actually seen Riverdale, so I can't really comment on it.
Either. I did not realise it was based on a comic book, though. That's interesting.
But just not like a graphic novel, like an ongoing comic book where there was literally probably an edition out twice a week, like a weekly. So, there's no real reason anyway. Map of Tiny Things didn't particularly appeal to me, but you just sent me a text.
Basically, I was at home alone. I saw the thumbnail. Thumbnail reminded me very much of Fault in Their Stars.
Yes.
Peter Green, Paper Towns, all of that sort of.
Certainly John Green.
Mm-hmm.
And not that I'm surprised, but this is a Lev Grossman novel, right? Lev Grossman wrote the short story and the screenplay.
Mm-hmm.
Who, if you've heard of The Magicians, I think is his biggest success. He is a sort of prominent writer, like a now famous writer for. I guess they sort of call it a bit more of a grown-up Harry Potter, like a sort of World of Magic series books.
Yeah.
That kind of intrigued me to read. Lev Grossman was involved.
Okay.
Just because of how renowned he is, people seem to really like his work. I haven't read it myself.
Anything else about what you saw of it didn't appeal to you, and then I popped up in your inbox going, "Hey, watch this film! This film is great. It made me cry."
I guess, like you said, it just looked like a John Green.
Yeah.
If you could describe the thumbnail, I think it's just these two good-looking young teens, sort of intently happy with a sort of starry background.
Yes.
With the words "tiny perfect thing,"
Map of tiny perfect things. Whimsical. Yeah.
Yeah, whimsical is a word that I'm going to be using to describe.
Well, yeah. So I'm a sucker for that type of John Green, heart-twanging, angsty. Will they? Won't they get together? Will they? Won't they stay together? Will they? Won't they? Oh, they don't. They do. They don't. Oh, blah 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 blah. Yeah, I'm a sucker for them. I'm not going to lie. I always have been. I always will be, and I always probably cry as well. So yeah, this one talked to me. I think the first time I saw it was actually I was flicking through TikTok before I deleted TikTok, which I did just recently because I got fed up with it. But there's a guy on TikTok who basically does reviews films that he's seen on Netflix, very short, like top 5 time travel films on Netflix at the moment. And I saw that and watched it, and it had Source Code, it had Palm Springs, and it had Map of Tiny Perfect Things, End of Tomorrow, and another one. And this is like this, and it was about this loop, basically, which we've seen 1,000 times before. Well, maybe not 1,000 times, but a lot of times if you've watched Groundhog Day. It's in essence what that film is about. It's about a guy called Mark who repeats the same day again and again and again. And then obviously he meets a woman and they fall in love and blah, 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 blah. And it's kind of about that. Yeah. The end. Thank you very much.
See you next week.
Okay, well,
I guess it's just
I took some notes. I took some bullet point notes.
Structured.
As and when you feel you need to, okay? Let's give this a go. Right. So, The Map of Tiny Perfect Things is a film based in a time loop, so aka Groundhog Day. And it focuses on a character called Mark, who wakes up every morning on his bed looking at the ceiling to the sound of his mum, I think, thumping the horn on the car as she pulls away. To start her day at work, he gets up, and this is where we join him when the film opens with him opening his eyes, and he walks downstairs. And if you didn't know what this film was about, the way that it starts is pretty cool because he comes down the stairs. And this is what I like about film. If you can go into film knowing nothing about something, then it gives you these surprises. And the way that he walks into the kitchen and it's like his father sat there and his sister sat there, and the toast pops out and he just catches it and passes it to his sister. He catches a cup before it hits the floor. It's like he knows everything's going to happen before it happens. And you very quickly establish that he's in this time loop, and he's already been living in this time loop for quite some time, which I quite liked. I liked the fact that we came into his existence within the time loop rather than an event happening and then waking up with him and finding out that he, having to go through.
We don't see his life before the loop. We're well in it.
Yeah, and he's been doing this for quite a while as well because he's established, he knows the patterns of everybody in the town. He knows that a pigeon's going to poop on a guy's forehead unless he pushes the guy out of the way. He knows that a woman is walking down the road with the dress caught in her pants, so he picks up some litter picking thing to pull it out of the back of her knickers and all that sort of thing. So it establishes how the time loop and that he's been in there for quite a while in a really nice sort of way. And then we see this unfold for a bit, and then he goes to this swimming pool, and this is where we find out the crux of what he's been doing with his time in this time loop, and that's trying to win the heart of a woman who in essence gets smack about the head with a beach ball. Every day tries a different approach to try and win her affection. And we follow that for like a couple of loops, I guess. And you think that's kind of what it's going to be about. You're like, oh, I've been here before. But then, this is what makes it so good. He's back at the pool and he catches the woman, and everything else is exactly the same. For one person just comes in out of nowhere, this woman, this blonde-haired beauty, tashly hair, sort of, straggly dressed, and as clearly, well, the fact that he has never seen her in this loop before, and he's been to this pool several, I don't know how many times, but a lot of times, and this is the first time he's ever seen her. That throws him, and that's what creates the intrigue. And again, I like films with a mystical woman, a woman that's unattainable, somebody that's just out of reach, that steps through a portal and disappears, or and just steals your heart in the moment that you first see her, that sort of thing. And I think the way that she comes in, I can't remember exactly what she does, but I just remember that she does something that completely confuses him and knocks him off kilter, throws his world into a tizwaz, and then she gets into a car and disappears.
Right, because he runs after her, right? He sort of tries to speak to her. Mm-hmm. She's looking for a dog.
Yes, that is completely correct. That is what she's doing. That is why she's at the pool in the first place, is she's trying to find a dog. And she's been putting up posters and everything everywhere. He spends a couple of days trying to find her in the city because she's not there the next day at the pool. So he goes back to the pool the next loop and she's not there. So that to him then tells him that she is an anomaly, or is having something of a version of her own loop, or there's something weird going on. So I was fixated on her, and as an audience member, I became fixated on her and where she'd gone and who was she and all of this sort of thing. And eventually, I can't remember how he finds her, but he's in a shop or something, isn't he? And then he sort of steps out of the shop and she's just stood around the corner or across the road or something.
Yeah, I mean, you get the picture. It's a fairly small town, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a couple of high streets.
Mm.
Yeah.
I think they just cross paths again.
And basically, yeah, he catches up with her. She's a bit standoffish, a bit sort of like...
She's super standoffish, right?
Yeah.
We don't know why at this point, but she's pretty nonchalant. Mm-hmm. She basically... Like, they basically both know the deal with each other. Mm-hmm. For him, in a world where he can't really continue any conversation. I think part of his life is he keeps going to see his friend after school, what have you, who's just always playing computer games. And I guess the simile, what have you, is this kid's always playing the same computer game and he's always stuck at the same point. Yeah. And he can never get past this particular boss. Mm-hmm. And it's sort of metaphorical, I suppose, to what's going on with him. Like, he's playing this game and he just can't get past it. But you can see the tiredness in him, right? Like, he approaches new things with his friends, but for example, he's like, oh, I met a girl. He's like, when did you meet a girl? He's like, oh, for me a few days ago. But he can never really go into detail. He always has to wash everything out.
Because his friend just doesn't believe him anyway, is it? They quite often talk about time travel films.
I think, yeah, like the kid's obsessed with time bandits. I think there's little nods and stuff like that.
So basically, she's a bit standoffish. He pursues her, continues to pursue her. They agree to meet at a certain time in a certain place on a certain day during the loop, and then they continue to do this, and they start to form a bond. And during that bond, they decide to. For me, I think it is this way. Anyway, this is how I interpreted it. It was his appreciation of some of the minor moments in the town that makes her realise the more perfect things in town, that there are more things, or is it her? Because
this is part of my problem with some of the films. So seemingly it's him at first. Like the opening scene, like you said, he just runs around like a bit of a smug dick and know-it-all. Yeah, not in a mean way.
KCBs, and
he just comes off super confident. He'll someone will drop a coffee and he'll just be there in time to grab it and say, hey, don't drop it. And like a string of those things. But he's nice about it, right? He's just, I guess, being a good guy.
Yeah, not arrogant.
And I think he shares a little one with her. Like he sort of just stops a guy from taking a step, and then a pigeon poops, and he's like, "Have a good day." So he's showing her these tiny things, which are kind of inconsequential, right? Like, I think one is like, "Hey, come and check this out," and they go around the corner, and there's a guy sitting at a bus stop, and a bus pulls behind them with 2 wings on it, and it just looks like this guy has wings, like a cool, like Instagram photo shot.
For me, it's like that's his version, but I can't remember whether it's that comes first or her showing him the eagle.
So I think the eagle comes next, right? Because that's when she's like, "Okay, now I want you to meet me," because I guess he's kind of pulling the, you got to appreciate things more, like, why are you so grumpy kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then to the next day, she's like, "Okay, will you meet me here at this time?" And they're in the woods, and they're sort of running to a lake, and they get there just in time to see this eagle swoop down and just pull up a fish, just like this really clean close-up shot of an eagle in action. And she's like, "Yeah, I just like to come here and chill out, and I just appreciate this eagle doing this thing."
This perfect moment.
Right, the perfect moment.
Yeah. So it's on the basis of that they decide to make a map of all the perfect moments.
Right. Just run around town and see what we can appreciate. Because there's stuff like he'll just go into a cafe, with the winning lottery ticket and go, "Hey, everyone, I've won the lottery," just to see them cheer and stuff. Yeah. Stuff I don't really get, if I'm honest. Like, he just, every now and then, he'll just pick up like a bulldozer and just drive it around town for the fun of driving a bulldozer around town.
Yeah.
I kept thinking something was going to come of that. Like a car was going to crash around the corner and he was protecting it. I think it's just fun to drive a bulldozer around town.
Yeah, no, I can understand that. I think it was, I wrote down that he was enjoying a life of no consequence. That any of his actions have no consequence. So he could do whatever he wanted. But yeah, so they agree to that they do this map of tiny perfect things.
But wait, Toby, they get kind of close now, and he kind of goes to make a move, but her phone is going off a lot for the first few scenes, and she basically, he's like, what does it matter if someone's calling you? We always have tomorrow. And she's like, "I've got a boyfriend who's a doctor. I gotta go." He's like, "Oh," and she's like, "Look, I can't. I can only offer you friendship. Take it or leave it." I think we might be getting the event a little timing off, but so to say.
In essence, she runs off before the end of every day.
Right, she's got somewhere to be.
Boyfriend rings her, and he seems quite controlling.
Did you?
So it comes off like that.
We watched it, and it was one of our early guesses what it was going to be, and we were sort of right. We were still not. So, did you predict how that was going to turn out? Like, was it a boyfriend? Was it like you just took her at face value, as it were?
I didn't take it at face. I don't remember thinking it was the boyfriend, but I didn't think. I remember thinking it's not a boyfriend. I never thought she had a boyfriend, but I didn't work out what it was. They have this. They meet. Where were we? Sorry,
they just agree to map out the tiny things platonically.
And at the end of every day, she has to go and run away to meet her supposed boyfriend. And during this mapping of things, they get to know a bit about each other, and he starts to fall for her. What he finds out about her is that she's always dreamt of being a mission control specialist for NASA. And during during some of the loops, he basically practices making a grand gesture of romance, I guess. You remember the school hall, the moon. Basically, because he knows that she'll never grow up to become a mission specialist, he provides the opportunity for her to be the mission specialist in an environment that he's built himself, which was sappy to say the least, but I quite liked it.
So to further explain, he takes her to the high school, and then he's like, "You got to put this helmet on," and it's a bike helmet. He's like, "What are we doing here?" And then they go through a door, and it's like a space capsule, all like made out of cardboard, but it's like the inside of a ship.
Silver foil and all that.
And he's just like, "You got to put this oxygen mask on," and she's sort of, happily smiling, like, "What is this? Well, I don't know what this is, but it's fun." And then they sort of go into the gym, and he's sort of created like a sort of, I don't know, imagine an eighth graders had to do like a moon landing project.
Yeah,
everything's covered in tin foil and like a half decent school production play of the moon landing.
Yeah, Stanley Kubrick's The Moon Landing. Yes.
Right. There's just a little bit which just killed it flat for me.
Yeah.
Because I was like, because my partner was like, when did he get time to do this? I was like, no, I think it's just like the school is doing it and he's discovered it and he's just breaking in to enjoy it. But no, he goes on to say, yeah, I did this for you.
Mm-hmm.
I would just rather it's something.
For me as well, I was a little bit like, but apparently he wrote in most of the school to get it done and built and everything. So yeah, cheesy, but I liked it. He like mush up inside that moment.
But we never see him in school is one thing about this film, which is, I guess, was good, because every day he heads to school.
Mm-hmm.
There's a bit where he gets to know a physics teacher, but we never see his school day.
No.
I guess he's happy to skip a lot. It doesn't, like you said, there's no real consequences, but it just seemed odd that everything is still based around this high school schedule. So we never go in with him.
He makes an advance during that NASA thing he rebuffs, and then I think he has a bit of a sort of strop for a little while.
I think they just need to cool off for a bit, right? Like they
go their separate ways for a little while, and then they come back together again. And he, in essence, he has an argument. He goes away. I think that's right. Yeah, as an adverse reaction to her rebuffal, he goes and takes it out on his father during a conversation that they have repeatedly about him and his future plans and what he wants to do with his life.
All throughout the film, he's just doing, I think doodles is the fair word, but pen art. And he feels like his dad basically tells him he shouldn't go to art college and like you got to do something with your life. So he just gets a sort of one of those parent hard-hitting conversations at the end of every day.
And his parent, isn't it his dad has just lost his job, but he's told
but that's
him.
like a reveal. That's like not a climax reveal.
Is it?
Yeah, that's like the end. Not the end, but it's that loop of a bit of a story. He's always been not pissy with his dad, but he's obviously tired of every day his dad, because his dad has, as far as he knows, quit his job to become a writer and write a history book. Yes. So he's really, really a bit upset that his dad is telling him to not follow his dreams of being an artist.
Yes.
And so he does get on with his dad, but like this one time he snaps and he makes fun of his dad. And so one day when he's talking to his sister's like, dude, dad didn't quit his job. He was fired. He's not writing this book because it's what he wants to do. He's just figuring it out. Yeah. He doesn't not want you to go to art school. He can't afford to send you to art school. So there's this.
That's the climax twist, not twist, but it's a climax.
Yeah, it's just like I guess his story starts wrapping up as the girl's story starts to take over.
Off the back of the rebuffal, he has this argument with his dad, and then he becomes really frustrated with being in the time loop and the fact that this Margaret has become distant and is less interested in him, that she knocked his kiss attempts back, and he goes and talks to the physicist.
He just finds a physicist lecturer.
The possibilities of if this happened or this happened or this happened, and they explore loads of different possibilities. And he comes to the conclusion that if he can travel over the international date timeline before midnight, then he can break the time loop. And he basically catches up with Margaret, sells her this plan, and she agrees to go through with him. So they book tickets to Japan and jump on a plane, go for this timeline idea. But just before the plane takes off, she gets up to go to the loo and bolts. And then he gets a message saying that she's sorry she couldn't go through with it, but she hopes that it works for him. Plane takes off, reaches the international timeline, hits 12 o'clock, he wakes up, day starts over again. Didn't work.
But things do start changing, right?
Not
because he goes down and his sister starts every day by saying like, I don't know, hey asshole or something, and the things that he normally predicts just are slightly off. No, because didn't she always starts the day by calling him something, because he always got in there first.
Wasn't it because he always came down was
I just thought just little things were shifting.
Yeah, you might be right.
But you might be right also. It might have just been he came down bummed out rather than super chirpy.
I think that was it, and it changed. I think that changed everybody's perspective around him. So yeah, that then, because that didn't work, it changes his focus from being about himself, and it becomes more about him trying to help others. So he then goes around to all the people that we've seen them, that they bumped into. Like there's a group of skaters.
Right. I feel like we sort of skipped out on the map of tiny perfect things. Okay. Just by not skipped out, but there's just, I guess we did. But for example, one thing is they're just walking past there's a cleaner cleaning out an old shop, and he's like a janitor, and he just stops and plays this like piano piece. There's like this group of skaters. There's the group of skaters and this little girl they're all failing to jump over some steps, and this little young girl comes in with a helmet and pads, and they all laugh at her, but she sort of nails it. Sorry, I guess we did talk about it. I feel like we just sort of said, and then they go and capture those perfect things. But
so yeah, so part of those tiny perfect things, it's about him then going out and appreciating them and appreciating the people that do them.
I guess he gets involved.
Yes, he does.
Right?
He gets directly involved. So he gets his own skateboard, and he basically attempts the really hard trick that everybody else has been doing, failing at, and he fails at it miserably and stacks it and basically breaks his arm and ends up in hospital. And it's while he's in hospital that we get to see where Margaret's been, or what Margaret disappears to every time she gets this phone call. Because while he's in hospital having his arm ring fixed, she walks through the ward and through a couple like a double doors, and then disappears around the corner. So he gets up obviously and then follows her, having not seen her for a couple of days, and spies on her. And first of all, he sees her meet this guy that he thinks she's seeing, who's a physician, I guess, or a doctor. And then it's only when the camera sort of moves over his shoulder and he moves a bit more that you see she's actually in this room, not to meet the guy, but to meet her mother, who is passing away or is terminally ill with cancer. It's the end. This is the reason. If I just make sure I'm not jumping anything. Yeah, this is this moment that starts the loop, in essence. So if the day continues, she'll never see her mum again. This is right. The last time that she will see her mum, and it's in essence knowing that this is going to be the last time that she will ever see her, and not wanting it and willing it into existence. Basically, this not wanting this to be the last time that she's ever going to see her. She refuses to let the day go ahead. In essence, is the way I took it. There's that amount of pain that she just wills into existence, this time loop.
I gotta be honest, I don't think I really picked, like, I know they had that conversation, but it just felt like that was her feeling. I guess I didn't pick up that was any solid answer.
Yeah. For me, that's what I took away from it. Or like having been through something similar, and although I know it's fictitious and it's a story and everything, but the amount of pain you feel is so overwhelming. It doesn't go away. So in essence, I can understand why, as a MacGuffin or a storytelling device, that would be the way that they would do it. It's like just that painful. You just don't want to carry. You black everything else out, and you just stay where you are. Because at this moment in time, everything is all right. Everything is perfect. Everything's okay. Everything you need or you think you need is there and now. Anything that is just gonna be wrong. So yeah. So in essence, he realizes that the story is not about him. That it's about her and this loop that she's going through.
It certainly sounds like this film struck a chord with you, and that you sort of saw the poetry and bittersweet moments in this, and just sort of felt the heart of this story. Like on a level, I guess I'd sort of glanced over or missed out on.
You'll have to pick it up now because I've lost.
I think he tells her he understands, right? He says, I didn't mean to follow you. I just saw you at the hospital, and I understand. He just becomes nicer, I guess. I think in the morning he just gets out of bed and runs to stop his mum. He was saying earlier on the hardest point was he hasn't seen his mum since it's happened because she always leaves and she's not back before midnight. So he literally wakes up with a car horn, and that's her driving off. Mm-hmm. So it's one day he just gets up and races downstairs and just gives her a hug. He's hanging out with his sister more.
Yeah.
I think he was saying his sister had a really...
He goes to a game, doesn't he, and watches her score. And
I guess, like I was saying, with the sister's greeting changed because she always talks about, oh, we lost the game, it sucks.
Yeah.
But he was there and cheering her, and they won the game.
Yes.
So I guess this is just for him, like you can make a difference.
Yeah, by interacting with the world around you, you are able to make a difference.
Not that happy with this message because of the entire open of the movie. He was kind of a good kid running around doing good deeds, helping people. So if suddenly the message is get involved and help people and don't be selfish, it's like he wasn't really, was he? It didn't felt like he didn't go full Bill Murray. He didn't go full string palms. He would no point.
You got to remember, this isn't about him. It's about her. The story's not about him. It's about her. Give me 2 seconds. I just need to go and get my charge before my phone dies. But back to you guys.
Sure.
See, that's the thing. This is it. The whole point of it is it isn't her. It isn't his story. It's her story. So no matter what he did, didn't really make any difference. He just got caught in the loop as a way for her to get out, and it was all. Oh, he's gone. I'm talking to myself. Well, I'm not. I'm talking to my audience. Hello, audience. Yeah, it's about her. It's her story through his eyes. So he may well have been a good person in the beginning of it, but that doesn't really matter. And it's not about what he's realised and what he's taken from it. It's about what she realises and what she needs to learn. And yes, we're learning the messages that she's got through him. Right? Some of the greater things, anyway. The greater messages, like getting involved in life and being more present and not holding on to the past.
So there's this whole thing of her mapping out the astral plane.
Yes, so she's also with the fourth dimension. That's a thread that was kind of loosely running throughout it. Like she has an obsession with the fourth dimension. This was a tenuous, but again, it's a time sci-fi loopy film, so it doesn't really use leaps of faith, I guess. She basically picked up the map of tiny perfect things that he's been hand drawing every single day of all the locations and stuff, works out that by tying bits of string to the bottom of it and hanging little balls on the end of the pieces of string and then having the reflection from the light on the wall makes this fourth dimensional cube that she's had some form of obsession about. But she realizes that one point of the fourth dimensional cube is missing from all the tiny perfect things that they've experienced or mapped out across the small town that they're in, and that this final act, this final perfect thing will be the thing they hope, or she hopes, will break the loop. I can't remember what it is that makes her decide that this is the right path and to ditch her old path. What was that? What act is that makes that happen?
I don't remember. Is it just not them conversing? Is it not her? Her mum sees something different in her eyes. I think it's just she has to let go. Yeah. I mean, that's what this whole film is about, right? Like, you can't hold on when you have to let go.
Yeah, I think that might be the fact that Mark sees her with her mother, and that is the first person that's seen her with her mother, other than the people she's used to seeing every single day, and that essence of new into an old situation that she's familiar with almost shakes her out of her malaise, I guess, her grief. So yeah, she basically holds this thing up, and the sun does this whole shadow wall. So in essence, it basically gives her the X point that she needs to be at a certain given time to break the loop. And she goes to this point and finds Mark on his own at the edge of the swimming pool. And they basically share a kiss.
A kiss in the rain, in the swimming pool.
Rain. go and see her mother, say goodbye to her mother, walk out the hospital, kiss at midnight.
I don't even think they kiss at midnight. They just wait for midnight to see.
Yeah, they wait for midnight.
And it just goes one past midnight, and then we did it.
Rain hits, and it all comes down, and they walk off into the distance.
Mm.
And that's kind of it as a story. But I bloody loved it.
There were definitely some key points where I thought that's interesting. Like when she said she had a boyfriend and that she could only be platonic, I kind of liked that, and I wanted it to go forward without the romance. This film didn't need. Okay, this film was a romance, but
Well, it wasn't even a romance really, because they didn't really.
Yeah, it was about wooing her, no, the whole thing. Because this is another thing that got on my nerves when he's like, "This isn't about me; it's about her." It's like, well, I'm glad we just spent the last 2 effing hours with you, and you're just here going, "Yeah, I'm not really the interesting one." There's just stuff and themes I didn't really. She came in and completed the computer game for that guy, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Was that supposed to? I don't know what that was. Was that just supposed to be like a throwaway joke? Like, she could do it all along? Because, like we said, when the guy started getting involved, nothing was really changing. Him and his friend kept getting killed at the same bit of the game.
Yeah.
So there's no, just do it together.
But yeah. I didn't really think too much into her playing the computer game moment. Put me on the hop there.
I guess she just liked games on the sly.
I guess getting involved in it enabled him to move on. Something to do with the keys as well. There's lots of keys involved in that sequence, wasn't there? I just really enjoyed the idea and the appreciation of the small moments in life that people just overlook too often. Yes, it was sappy, and like I said, like Paper Towns and Jonathan Green and Laden Don Thick and all of that sort of thing. But I have a real soft spot for that type of thing. This was one of those that ticked those boxes for me, for sure. And I thought it did the whole time loopy thing differently enough from the ones that have come before it, because it wasn't its typical. But for me, it wasn't a typical romance, because it wasn't all about him trying to get that girl.
But I feel like it was. They just said it wasn't, and they shifted for a bit of a reveal. But most of our running time is still with him.
Yeah, but not chasing her.
I guess it just has that message, which is just exhausting now, of like, if you want to move on, you better find love. You know what I mean? Even Disney have stopped doing that, no? And it felt like this was central down here again. Like I was saying, like, it just, I don't know. It had a nice setup, but just centering around this romance was just, I don't know.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, I can see what you mean. It does come back to like the getting out of the loop was them kissing, but you don't know whether they're going to spend the rest of their lives together.
No, totally not. They're like 16. They're like 15 or something now. But there were definitely some nice moments. I think just running around, like just coming up for the writers must have had fun. Just what can be like a map of tiny perfect things, just little moments to view from behind the hedge that just either lighten your heart or make you chuckle.
Yes, exactly. There's enough of those to make my heart swell. You go pop.
I certainly felt like the film dragged.
Did you?
For a while, yeah. Just the stuff I didn't like was like getting on the airplane.
Okay.
And then the airplane not going anywhere. Like, it didn't work anyway. I'm glad we got to see that.
I always found it difficult to understand how he bloody drew that map every single day.
I guess for me, like the one that I would say is different is sort of Happy Death Day, because they take it.
Yeah.
Like I just feel like those films are about like not Happy Death Day, but I guess not even Palm Springs, but they sort of use the wooing of a romance to better the character, which is Groundhog Day. And I'm not saying it has to be different. I'm not saying there are nice moments in that. The bit for me that always stands out on Groundhog Day is when he has like, I think it's Groundhog Day, where he has like 99% perfect day. And then the next day, he just tries it all again, but he rushes it, not quite getting, you know what I mean? Like, oh, we've done this, let's just do it. Let's just get to the moment where we have the perfect kiss. But it's like, no, it's off because you're ingenuine now.
Yeah.
Palm Springs, if you haven't seen it.
Palm Springs is a very similar film, and I felt to
Yes, that is more comedy, but it's certainly again revolving around the coupling of two young, attractive people who happen to be single. But
what did you think of Palm Springs?
I like it. Had some grit to it. I guess it had the comedy lines to it. I guess the Map of Tiny Things never went far enough in any one way.
Right. Okay.
Like when he gets down, if you thought you're invincible, none of your actions have consequences. A really bad day. There's one scene where they go to a house and smash it up, but even then they play it like a Wes Anderson movie. There's like the soundtrack was super fluffy and like theoretically whimsical and sort of stripped down pop versions of songs.
Yeah.
Like nothing really got this kid down.
Mm-hmm.
With I guess the existential dread of Palm Springs was really fun to watch.
Yeah.
Because I think the writer came out and said like, no, we pieced together. He's been in here for like 8 years or something.
Wow. Okay.
And I guess that there's at times when you really feel that.
Yeah.
Like you just can become super nihilistic.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying not everything needs to do that. You know what I mean? I know Map of Tiny Things was a different audience, and they were not that they're going for a different message, but like when we talked about the Fireman book, it's like let's talk about a thread where instead of experiencing the nihilistic side and the downer side, and can we have these characters commit suicide in funny ways because we know it's not going to matter. Like the Tom Cruise one, there's a stretch where it's all about him just dying over and over again just for jokes.
And Happy Death Day, exactly the same, and Happy Death Day too.
But so I guess this one was like, okay, we don't need that. Can we have good people stuck in the loop? Not like a bad person has to learn to be good.
Yeah.
But yeah, just something in it dragged me.
Yeah.
It didn't really feel like a climax, if I'm going to be honest. It didn't really build to it. I know we shifted to the girl, but it felt a little too late and a little like knowing the film is coming to an end. It's like, I just want you to end now rather than start a whole thread with her.
Yeah, I can see what you mean. Yeah, like I can understand where you're coming from with the sense that it was all about him trying to, in essence, trying to get the girl, and then with the last 20 minutes, it's like, aha, it's not about him, it's about her, and all the problems that she struggled with on a daily basis. You know, losing someone close to her,
but the emotional punch was good. You know, her I don't think dramatic's the right word, but her tragic story. Again, but that's another point is if you could have given her half the movie, you could have explored that more, don't you think? And I know it's like, well, we don't want to be too. Does John Green do films about kids dying? Is that The Fault in Our Stars or something?
yeah, Fault in Our Stars.
There was a level of wanting to keep this film upbeat and whimsical. Just could have gone a bit deeper if you'd have given her more time.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Well,
but it was well acted. I like the two leads. I see them just kicking on with their careers. This goes.
Well, I enjoyed it. I'm not going to lie. I thought it was really good. I wouldn't say it was an amazing film, but it hit me in places that I needed to be hit at that point in time. I very much enjoyed the sentiment and the sappiness of it. I preferred it to Palm Springs.
Did you like Palm Springs or just okay? Or?
Yeah, it's okay. I felt Palm Springs had less of a message and wasn't as clever with it as Map of Tiny Perfect Things. But I enjoyed them both, but Tiny Perfect Things was better.
I guess it hits closer to your world. Like Palm Springs is just a million miles removed. But
yeah, no, exactly. But of the Groundhog Day films, if I were to give you a top 5, that would probably be around number 5, Tiny Perfect Things.
What are the other 4? I can only think of 5.
Yes, you do. Happy Death Day. Happy Death Day's up there. I really enjoyed Happy Death Day. That was a great Groundhog Day. Groundhog Day obviously is the touch paper for this. End of Tomorrow. I watched another one this evening actually with Adam Devine and Rosario, not Dawson, or Argento Dario or something like that. Her name is
Asia Argento.
Yes, the one from Sea of God and Monsters, or Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief. The woman from that, the girl from that. And that was again, he woke up 2017, something happens, he blows it, ends up in a photo booth, jumps back to 2014, spends a day in 2014 that impacts everything that happens. But at the end of that 2014 day, he jumps back to the day of 2017.
Okay, so it's like butterfly effect.
Anything that's happened in 2014, ramifications are felt on the 2017 day that he returns. And it's about him going then.
So comedy?
Yeah, realising that what it's meant to be, rubbish.
Oh.
Awful film. So bad. It was wooden. There was no chemistry for any of the actors. I was just like, oh, this is shocking. But yeah, so there we go. That was my map of tiny perfect things.
Yes. Loved by Toby. Meh by me. But go watch it and make your own mind up.
Yes.
We just don't sort of spoil it.
Hey, we're going to wrap it up around there. I want to thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed. In the spirit of appreciating those tiny moments in life, here's a little exit music from our very own Toby. Toby, take it away.